I've been showing my feet a lot on this podcast,
Yeah, I'm hiding mine.
and some might say that's a mistake because people could pay good money for these feet.
Yeah, and that ties into today's topic.
How so?
Niche
Welcome back to the
marketing.
We Should Talk More podcast, the podcast where,
Two lifelong friends.
with not much in common,
Trying
trying to get a little bit closer. My name is John. I am the CEO at Facebook, and they made a little movie about me that you might have heard of. So,
Oh, that's very neat.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Josh Cornell, and I am the lead marketing strategist at Instagram.
oh, okay.
Are you familiar with that business?
Never heard of her.
And you're the CEO of Facebook.
I kind of just let it run, I think. I don't have much expectations for what's going on. Welcome back, everybody. It's another beautiful podcast day. And today we're talking about social media. I think we might have teased this one in one of the... Actually, we did. In the middle school dating video.
The very first.
Yeah, our very first podcast episode. We kind of talked about like our introduction to social media, so we were like, it'd be cool to like dive into that more, have it be its own episode. And guess what, it's getting its own episode, which is this one.
Wow. So for the loyal fans out here, this is what you've been waiting for
This
since
has been
day
what you've been waiting
one.
for. You know what's crazy too is I've gotten to the point in these podcasts where I don't know what episode number this one is.
This is number 14.
Definitely not.
Are you sure?
No, because
because we're at like 12 right now.
yeah.
And we're
And 13 is coming out next week, so we already recorded 14. This might be 16.
Okay, we're close.
Yeah, whatever.
That was close.
Either way. Very exciting stuff. And I guess we can kind of get into it by
But-
just...
You wanted to ask about my coffee.
God, I always forget.
Especially today. Today's a
Today
special brew.
is the special brew. I made us some oat milk lattes in my Keurig. Do you want me to give you some context behind why I'm drinking an oat milk latte?
You're lactose intolerant now?
No.
Wait.
News alert.
Go ahead.
I have a girlfriend.
Congratulations, John.
She... So normally I make lattes with almond milk, but
Okay.
she has a nut allergy. And she mentioned to me that she drinks almond milk, and because she also is allergic to regular milk. So I kind of wanted to try it, and I started making almond milk lattes, and I'm like, it's pretty good.
You like it.
pretty
You
good.
like it.
I can do this.
She's converting you.
She is.
Wow. See, the wonders of a relationship.
I've changed.
You have.
Yeah.
Now, if you were down bad about peanut butter sandwiches, would you be able to get off of peanut butter sandwiches?
If I was down bad about it, I don't think I would give those up. I do eat peanut butter sometimes in the morning.
Okay.
Just so I can remember you. But
That's sweet.
it's not my priority anymore.
Well, you still have your coffee too, which was
Yeah.
also an influence of me. So,
What's wrong?
I've shaped your life in many ways.
And it's time for you to let me go.
Sure. I mean, I'm never leaving. The legacy has been instilled. So, I mean, I'm happy with that.
It's all great stuff. But how do you like it?
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave a bad taste or anything. I know sometimes like a milk coffee. This is a latte, so
Yeah.
like the latte has a little more strength, but
Mhm.
like a milky coffee to me generally has a weird aftertaste that
Yeah.
I don't care for. The oat milk usually also might not give it the flavor that I expect, but it has the nuttiness that I like.
Yeah, I feel like I was gonna say that does have like a nutty, like oaty kind of
Mm.
taste, and it's also I feel less guilty drinking like oat milk or almond milk lattes compared to like a milk latte, because I think we might have spoken about it on this podcast too, but like whenever you get like milk lattes, it's like so much milk, and like sometimes from Dunkin' it's like 90% milk that they're giving you, so it's
yeah,
like
that's true too. And
drinking so much milk isn't like that great, and it's a lot healthier drinking like an alternative. So
yeah, too much
Yeah.
milk definitely doesn't sit well in the stomach. In other news, my friend was telling me that he was listening to the podcast and he
Mhm.
notices that we continue to get closer and closer.
like physically. Well, how about you ask him to look back, and he'll probably see that.
That's what I mentioned too.
I've been in the same position, and maybe you have been creeping closer and closer to me.
No, I think I've actually laid back a little bit more.
Maybe I think
And
it's like
so you've gotten a little more comfortable.
Maybe,
to,
yeah.
like widen your arm span.
yeah. I think that's me. Yeah, that's definitely me. I think I'm not doing like this as much.
There you go. That and us just always talking about dating is like, when are we gonna date?
Yes. I guess that's what people are waiting for.
Yeah. But bad news, John is in a relationship, so he's off the market.
I have an idea. I know we're like not really on topic yet, but when we should do an episode where it's like we stage like a date, like we pretend like we're on a date, and the whole episode is just a date.
That's interesting. Interesting.
And we have to act like we don't know each other or something.
Like us on a date.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just talking to each other, like getting to know each other as if we were on our first date.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough one, but we can figure that one out.
Yeah. Anyways, like I mentioned, this episode is on social media. And we're going to start with what we kind of tease with the middle school one, with sort of talking about our own history with social media. So Josh, why don't you let me know, because I think you were on it way before me, because you're like a badass guy. What was your first...
I'm trying to open up the water. The cap is tight.
Audio listeners, you didn't just witness what I witnessed, but Josh just opened his water bottle with his mouth, and it was just like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But I understand why you did it, because you didn't want to
let go of the mic.
Which is dedication too.
Mm-hmm.
So back on topic, what was your first introduction to social media?
If I believe it's MySpace, 100% MySpace.
Yeah.
So back in like when I was 12 or 13.
What year was that?
This must have been like 2005.
Oh shit.
Yeah. 2005 I was 9. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I'm like
9. Okay,
yeah.
So maybe 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like 4th or 5th grade. So at this time, I remember getting onto MySpace because my brother was getting onto MySpace. And I've mentioned this before, but my brother has influenced me in many ways, because as an older brother, you kind of like follow in those footsteps. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was more of a competitive space than a way to be just like him.
So was it more like a thing where he was like talking to girls on there or something too? Or just like
I don't, not quite off the bat, but it gives the impression you might be able to find somebody there.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
Like you're able to talk to people virtually without having to actually go through the efforts of actually seeing them in person and shaking hands and yada yada.
Yeah.
So like the barrier of entry of a relationship or any friendship is a lot easier. And as a young kid, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
You fuck with that.
Yeah, I do fuck with that.
I fucked with that. So I got onto MySpace, and like the cool early days of MySpace was you have you design your MySpace page using some form of a template. There's a lot of templates out online at the time, which was just like web developers putting together some HTML and CSS code, so you can download it and put it and upload it into a MySpace file, and that can make your MySpace page unique. As a user, you didn't have to really understand that all that much. You just had to find a template that you liked. So I thought that was always pretty neat. It was always like competitive to have the coolest looking page. And then also part of having the coolest looking page is including the top friends of yours. And we've talked about this before.
I didn't remember. Oh, wait. Did you have like a certain amount of people? Like, did you choose who you put there?
Yeah, you're limited to only selecting about 8 friends
to
have on your page.
You told me this was kind of a thing like with girls, like who you put there was kind of like
special.
Yeah.
Like anyone you put there is special. So if it was like me and you friends back in the day, and I didn't include you on my Facebook page, I'm sure you would.
I would be livid.
Yeah, you'd be livid. You'd be messaging me nonstop, asking like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, why am I not on your page?"
This is a little bit to the future too, but you probably remember Snapchat was like pretty much the same thing, though you didn't have control over it. Like you would have your top friends that people could see, like who your top like best friends were. Do you remember that?
Did that show?
It used to show, yeah, and you could see that.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, it used to show like your top, I think your top 3.
Really?
Yeah. But this was like way early. Then they got rid
Wow.
of it. So at first, like anybody could see that, and then they got rid of it where only you could see that. And now I don't think you can. There's not like a direct way to see your top like best friends on Snap. I think the only thing that you see now is like your most recent. So like whenever you go to send a Snapchat, you'll see like the recommended people just because who you interact with.
Yeah, that and the people you interact with the most. So like they use their algorithm to decide like who are you looking to message.
But I remember like in high school, that was kind of a thing, and like in college too, that was like with the girl that I mentioned that had a boyfriend. It was like another thing of contention because like he could see that her top friends was like him and then me, or like then me like over him.
Are you anyone could see this, or would
It
you
used to
be
be. It used
on
to
their
be, yeah.
profile? I thought it was only if you were signed in on as the user.
No,
you could see it.
I think you used to be able to see it like when you would look at their like account,
Interesting.
but then it was just like only that you could see it. But it was also like with the people that you had, you could see also like the best, like remember when we'd have streaks too, so like you could see also there like how long you had
see
a streak
how
with
long
them.
their streaks were.
Yeah.
Really?
But that was like,
Well, I thought streaks were a newer thing, from what you're talking about.
no, streaks were around like pretty early with Snapchat because like there were some people that had streaks for like very long.
Well,
like,
yeah,
since,
years,
like, way
years.
early,
I know.
yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
it's not new anymore.
Oh
but
well, yeah,
maybe
like, yeah.
back then. Anyway, so yeah, that was definitely a competitive space to be able to get on the top 8 friend list. I think having an algorithm to decide the top friends and having that public is even worse because then they're saying like, oh yeah, you're messaging this
Yeah,
person
because then
more
it's like
than
you can't
anyone
even like hide that. Like if you're talking to other people, like
else. Yeah, it's awful. It's like
yeah.
it's like people going onto your explore page, where based on like what you look at, which is very unconscious in many ways, will now be all prepared for you just so
Yeah.
you can look at. So if somebody was to take your device, i.e. a girlfriend, and see something that they don't like, then they're like, well, why are you interested in this type of content?
yeah. I think a girlfriend would get mad that I have so many like Marvel superheroes on my explore page. 'Cause that's pretty much all I have. What do you have?
Oh, the same thing.
Okay, so did you have any other thoughts on MySpace?
Oh yeah, I used to message my brother's girlfriends on MySpace.
Okay, so that was kind of the thing. I think you might have mentioned that in the
In
dating
the previous
thing.
episode, yeah, that's right.
That's funny.
And then also we've talked about this too, but it was people messaging you to say, hey, can you post on my page? Then you post on their page saying, oh, hey, sexy, beautiful, or something like that. And then you'll never hear from them again.
Yeah, and then I guess they just wanted to see people like
It was all a attention game. It was all a game
to have like the certain amount of people that were posting your page just so you seem like popular. I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, the whole premise of MySpace at this time was to have the best page.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like, oh well, I guess the one thing I wanted to ask, because it ties into my thing too. Did you have, how many computers did you have at home back at this time?
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Maybe like 1 or 2.
So like the computer that you were on MySpace on, was that like the same one your brother was using, or was
Yeah.
I find that so funny. Yeah, I find that so funny.
And take turns.
Uh,
And then the worst part is you have to make sure you sign off. If you
that
don't
too,
sign
yeah,
off,
you leave all
then
your
now
stuff
your
open, yeah.
parents can come into the room and see that MySpace was open. Your
Yeah.
brother might come in and say, okay, let me check out what he's saying to my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Things like that.
Yeah, well, especially for you could get in a lot of trouble.
Oh my God. It was, you had to be very careful.
Yeah.
As soon as my parents, at this time, my parents didn't know I was on MySpace, and I talked about it before. Code word was chicken noodle soup. They listened to the first podcast episode, and they were surprised about that. They never heard about that.
That you guys were using that.
I honestly thought we disclosed that information back in the day with them, but they forgot.
Yeah, they could have forgot. That's funny though. But yeah, I only had one computer for like the longest time. Yeah, I had one computer in my house. So like, my parents didn't really want us. They didn't want us on Facebook. I feel like it was more so like a thing for my sister. Like they didn't want her to make one until like a certain time, and then I guess it just like applied to me too. So like it wasn't until like the end of 8th grade that I actually got on like social media. I don't think like I never even knew about MySpace. Like I feel like I wasn't even aware of it. Like people in my circle, like no one ever like really spoke about MySpace. Yeah. So like I remember growing up thinking that MySpace was a thing for like older people, because I think like I had older cousins who like used to talk about it, but to me it was like it was just like a thing for them. Like it felt like it wasn't like, I don't know, but
yeah, it was definitely a social media for millennials. At that age, and it was very much of a it was really popular that anyone who was cool was on MySpace. So, John, this says a lot about your circle.
Cool,
it just says a lot about your circle.
I mean, I do remember like maybe it was like 7th, 8th grade. Like everyone I knew was getting on Facebook, and like that was a thing where like you would feel like you weren't cool because like you weren't on Facebook, because like it was just a thing where like, I guess it's like another element to interaction where like people would be like talking about like, oh, like did you see that like thing that this guy posted, but you would have like no idea what they're talking about. So like you would start feeling like left out of like certain conversations or
easily.
Like things going on.
So that's the pressure to get on
media,
and
I
so
feel like
you can see what everyone else is doing.
A lot of people get that. Yeah, because like even some of our friends who are less like into social media, I know like Anthony is one that like he only recently got on Instagram. So I always find it interesting like how he felt when like we would be on Instagram, and I don't know. It's like what, like being someone who is so like, you're not really ingrained into it. Like, I don't know if you feel left out or if you just don't care. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I definitely have some perspective on that, given that I was off for a year and a half, but we don't have to get into that now. I will add that I had very much the same pressure that finally pushed aside my resistance to get onto Facebook, because when I was on MySpace, Facebook was very uncool.
Really?
Yeah, it was a thing, but it was very uncool. And if you're on the MySpace side, you're in the popular crowd. If you're on Facebook, no one wants. You're like you're at the cafeteria table by yourself.
Yeah. So that's funny. I feel like it's so. I guess like we were from such different circles too, because like we went to different schools. But it's like I never even like, for me it was just like about Facebook. So it's like I don't know. I guess it's just like depending on. I mean, I also went to like a Catholic school, so like a lot of like
very good students.
Goody two shoes. I don't know, but
it is, and it might also just be the time and the things.
Yeah,
when you actually start having these conversations.
Yeah.
So it was a while before I finally moved over to Facebook, but I remember there was like one conversation I was having in the end of 6th grade. It was somebody's messaging me over text and saying, "Oh yeah, do you have Facebook? You want to add me?" I'm like, "Oh, Facebook." And a year later after that, I was on Facebook all the time.
So you said that was like in 6th grade or 7th grade?
Yeah, so 6th grade, I wasn't on Facebook. I was on Facebook, but that was only for the social media presence, not really to use it. 7th grade is when I actually started using it actively.
Yeah, that's like around the same time that I feel like everyone I knew was getting on it. I mean, I do feel like when I got on it, like there was like a time where everyone was using Facebook, and like I feel like after 8th grade, like a little bit into high school, like I remember like freshman year of high school using Facebook a lot, like interacting with like our friends, and like me and Alex Lago became very good friends because of Facebook. Like we used to like post weird things and like message each other constantly just on Facebook. But
you'd go from school over to your house computer to sign into Facebook, and every time a notification pops up, that shit's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I do know like entering into, well, I mentioned it in like the high school thing, but like entering into high school, like using Facebook to talk to people was like big, like because I wasn't like talking to people like in school, so I was like messaging a ton of people on Facebook.
I definitely want to get into that. It's a lot easier to have conversations with people. And that might be one of the like biggest benefit and costs to social media being introduced. With that said, though, Facebook, when I was using it in 7th grade, it was solely for the purpose of finding more girls to talk to, like we're saying. And that was easily done by, again, similar to how MySpace was. You have a wall. And you want more activity on your wall than anyone else. Now, I mean, you might not be thinking about this, but that's truly what it is at the end of the day.
I have a question too about MySpace. Like, were you able to see like follower or like friend counts, or like could you see like likes on photos, like counts or anything?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like another metric of like how
you definitely can. You can see.
Were.
Honestly, I can't remember if they had a like feature. They probably didn't, because I remember that being a big thing with Facebook. But they had comments. Yeah. So you'd have comments on your wall, and you'd have comments on your pictures. So it's a photo sharing app as well. It's just it didn't do it as successfully as Facebook did. So I would at this time post all often, like every day after school,
Yeah.
like for a, to be honest,
Yeah,
like
I was
for,
doing the same.
like
Wait, you were
for a
doing this on
rating.
MySpace or on?
This is on Facebook.
on
This is on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, okay.
And you know, the purpose of this is now you're on other people's walls.
Mhm.
That's
Okay,
draws
you're
them
like
to your
posting.
page.
Yeah.
So you're liking as many as possible, so you can start getting your page filled with
Yeah.
stuff. Now, like you sometimes like you like somebody's thing for a rating, and then they come back with a 6. Like, what the fuck? You just, you just foiled my Facebook page.
Yeah.
But so that shit might sting for some people because like
I used to always get the you seem nice, we should talk more or whatever.
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
wouldn't actually give you a rating. Like it was like, okay, I get it.
very awkward.
I get it.
Very awkward. You seem nice.
Well, it's funny too. Like I was thinking about that because it's like so many of these girls would post like for To Be Honest, and like you would like them whether you knew them or not. So like I remember liking like To Be Honest from girls, and like they would give me like, oh, you seem nice, like we should talk, and you would be like upset like you didn't get anything long, but it's also like they don't know you, so like you're not gonna get like a paragraph from someone who doesn't know you. But it's like just back in the day, like if it was a hot girl posting that, like you would like it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I generally wouldn't get something like that. I usually
you would get long messages.
Yeah, long messages.
Yeah,
You're hot shit. I love you so much, Josh.
I
Things
want
like
you.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you. Hit me up sometime. Things like that. I'd get that all the time.
Yeah,
and then
fair.
you get that indication to message somebody on their page. You DM them immediately, or try to. So, a common one was like this if you're still up right now.
Oh yeah. I remember
So
that.
if you're still up, that means you're down to talk.
Yeah.
So now after you get some likes, you look at who liked it. Oh, she's ugly. I'll let her be for tonight. I'm not gonna message her. But then baddie central right here. You message them. You have a short conversation. Next thing you know, you might be on a date. Or you might just never. It might just become awkward and it fades away.
I do know something I like doing, and like it's funny thinking about how I did that back then, and like it kind of speaks to how I use social media now. But I used to post those, but I would always try to do something that was like something that no one else is doing. It's like I remember like I would post something like this for like a YouTube video that makes me think of you, or like, and I would I would like go on YouTube and find like a funny like viral video or something that reminded me of someone and like post it on their page, like if they liked it. Like I remember trying to do stuff like that, and like a lot of them either didn't get any like likes or whatever. I mean, I definitely did a lot of like the To Be Honest, and I don't know how often you did this. I remember the thing that I guess it wasn't a conscious thing, but like I used to do them a lot with Alex, our friend. So like he was back in middle school, like a lot more liked by girls because he was like of course more attractive. Yep. So like I would do like for To Be Honest for me and Alex Lago. That's right. So like you would get all these like hot girls liking it, but it's like they don't give a shit about what the rate I'm giving. They want to know what Lago is giving them.
They want to know what Lago thinks.
But I do remember.
I forgot about that.
I do remember doing that. The thing that like I find interesting that you mentioned though is like wanting to get more people like posting on your page. Like I don't remember actively like thinking about that. I guess like I don't know, like maybe I did, maybe I forgot, but I don't remember ever feeling that like that to be important. I guess I just remember like likes and like friend counts being like a metric of like how popular you are or like whatever,
which is all visible on your page.
Yeah
So through the other metrics you're looking to see as like your vanity metrics here, that's all counted on your page. So like that's like public information where you're building your brand right there on your Facebook page just by the number of likes or comments you get on your photos, likes or comments you get on your posts. If you go on somebody's page and you see a single post is getting like 200 likes for whatever, you're like, oh, this person's popping. And then you go through to see if they're actually sending messages too for each of them. If they are, like that's even more of a measure. Like, oh, I'll like too, so I can start seeing what they're. Yeah, I want one too. Yeah. Especially if they're beautiful. Yeah. That's always important in these conversations. Yeah. Man, there's one good point that sparked up in my mind when we were having this conversation, but now I've lost it.
Do you want to talk about, I guess we kind of talked about, like, we can get into maybe some of the benefits. Like, we're still, like, on, like, Facebook, though. Like, did you ever what about Twitter? When did you get on Twitter?
I was
that
on
later?
I was on Twitter early on, but I didn't actually use it. I remember being on a date with somebody that I met through Facebook probably, and she added me on Twitter by looking me up.
Yeah.
I'm completely inactive. And then like 4 or 5 years later, I go on and I see these posts about me.
Oh, really?
in good words. It was all good. Like, oh, I miss Josh so much, or he's such a cutie, and things like that. You know, typical things for Josh.
Yeah.
Typical things for me.
Yeah.
But like that stuff.
For people who are just tuning in for this episode, he's being sarcastic, I think. I just don't want like random people who are just joining being like, man, this guy's a fucking asshole.
No, we're talking about middle school me. This is very different from how I am now. Thank you, John.
No, I just want to like say, because I feel like if you're just like watching this for the first time, you'd be like, you don't really know who we are, so it's hard to tell when we're joking or not.
That is very true. That is very true.
I was gonna say I was on Twitter really early. Okay. So like compared to Facebook, where it took me a while to get on, like I was on Twitter like probably around the same time as I got on Facebook, so like 2011. Mm-hmm. But I do remember, so I don't have the account information, but I was on Twitter and I had like a hate account that I made. Like
a hate account.
I don't remember the name. Ooh. Like let's just say it was
hate,
like,
what do you mean?
Well, I'll explain it. So like I think the name was like Twilight something, like fan or whatever, and I would just like go on Twitter and like send messages to celebrities or whatever, or like go on like a post from like a Twilight account and then like comment, like just a troll. I was basically just trolling.
So that's a troll account.
Yeah. And it would just be like hate towards like Twilight or like the Jonas Brothers, like whatever was popular. And I don't remember, like I didn't do it for that long. I think I just did it like for fun, but I think maybe I did it because I think my sister was on Twitter before me, and all of her Twitter interaction, all her use for Twitter was like following celebrities or like tweeting about how much she like loves the Jonas Brothers or whatever. So I did like the opposite and like just trash talk them. And I remember like later on in high school, like when I actually made like a personal Twitter, then like finding that account when I was trying to sign in, like with my number, it was still linked to it. I'm like, oh shit, like I completely forgot that I did this. So then I just like deleted. I don't know if I deleted it. I must have because the account now is under my number. So unless I like just however I made a new account, because the account I have now is not the same account.
Did the trolling work?
No, I think like even back then, like if you have like no followers, like I had no followers, really, so you were just like you're like yelling into the abyss, like even like stuff that you're commenting on people's stuff, like people just ignore you or whatever. Like
I mean, it might. You don't know like what effect it might have on somebody, but
I don't know,
because even if you don't get a response,
that's true. I may have hurt people. I don't know.
I don't want to stick on the topic for too long because I do want to get into many other topics. But I guess like real quick, just like running down the list of maybe other social medias that we went into from here on, or even before. There's like smaller ones that we didn't really talk about, but maybe you were on. I was definitely on like Club Penguin.
Yeah,
it's
Club Penguin.
It's the social media.
Were you on like the Wii?
Yeah, I was gonna say that one next. Wii World. So the little kids ones, I was on that stuff at that time. Same. So like not completely evil with being on MySpace or unpure. I still had a purity side to me. And then from there, instant messaging too, AIM.
I was thinking about that too, because like AIM was what I used a lot like in middle school.
Yep.
Yeah.
I loved AIM so much at the time. So that and like MySpace were big at the same time. I remember messaging people on AIM and they were like, "Oh, what's your MySpace?" I'm like, "That's assuming." Then what else did we have after that? Like you said, Snapchat, Twitter.
Were you ever on Tumblr?
Oh yeah, Tumblr was big. No, I couldn't get onto Tumblr. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out either, and I only started using it because my high school girlfriend. Did I mention her name when I did this? You
Tiffany.
Did.
Yeah,
you did.
She was very active on Tumblr, so like I made one because of her, and I remember like looking at her page and like trying to understand like what she was thinking based on what she was posting. But that was basically the only reason I used it.
Or that's very obsessive.
Yeah, I think Tumblr was definitely like it kind of felt like Twitter, where it was very like fan based. So like you would like follow accounts of stuff that you were interested in, and then just like repost cool stuff. So like it's mostly like GIFs from like a show you like, or like fan art from like I remember like a lot of people you would just follow, like let's say Supernatural was like this TV show back in the day. It was popular back in the day. And I would follow those pages and you would just like repost whatever they were posting. So it's like,
I mean, I think a big thing at this time, and it might tie into Tumblr a little bit, is just posts that were like some random background with a short phrase.
yeah, it was like, yeah, for like the aesthetic. Because I
just
think
for the aesthetic and like the meaning behind the words.
yeah, like Tumblr kind of reminds me of what like Instagram is now, where you have like the grid and like it's like people put a lot of thought into like what their grid is, like how it looks amongst their other posts. So like Tumblr, all the stuff you reposted was all on your page. It was like a wall of just like the posts and like little tiles. So like it looked pretty if you had
now,
like
do you know,
theme.
similar to how MySpace was with a template that you can design it to fit how you like it to be, can you do the same
on Tumblr? Yeah, there were a couple templates that you can do. It was pretty cool though, because I think what was cool, I don't know how MySpace was, but Tumblr, it would repost the photos in the size that they were. So like if something was like 1x1, it would be like a 1x1 tile, and then if it was like a 2x3, it would put the 2x3 next to it, so like it would look like a collage instead of just like Instagram where it's like actual like 1x1 the whole grid. Yeah, so it looked kind of cool. It was like you made like a collage on your page. It was cool.
Interesting. Yeah. So other small ones at the time of like being on MySpace, for me, I was also very interested in just seeing what other social medias were out there, because the more social medias you're on, the more friends you have, of course. Yeah. At least that was my mindset at the time. So like anything and everything I can find, I would sign up for. Just like I said, I was on Twitter and Facebook, but I wasn't active users at the time.
You just had accounts.
Yep, exactly. There's another one called iMeme.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, not many people probably would, but I used to I was an aspiring rapper at this time. So
were you actually?
Yeah. I was.
All right, we'll have to get into that separately, I think.
I used to do rap battles back in 4th and 5th grade. Oh man, I didn't talk to you about this.
I don't think I ever knew this.
Oh wow, we can do a whole episode about being an aspiring rapper. Then I was on my iMeme, and I remember just like posting on my page or something, like just small raps that I would write.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you interact with people very much like MySpace. I don't remember too much about the specifics though.
Yeah,
it was all about just building your friendship count.
Yeah. And then I think like what else was there? I mean, we mentioned Snapchat. I think like throughout high school, the only other big one that started becoming popular was Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So Instagram came around. Vine was a thing too for a little bit.
Oh yeah, Vine.
But Instagram has taken off and is still like the lead in social media.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of our history. Tell us about yours in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you have any specific questions on what we mentioned, definitely ask, and we'll dive into any aspect of our lives.
Or we'll just delete whatever commentary you have. If it doesn't show good for our brand, our page.
Yeah, we're trying to get sponsored, you idiots. Anyways, so did you want to talk about like the good and bad of social media, maybe? Yeah,
of course. Okay. So one of the notes I loved here was how it bridged the gaps in some of your connections.
Yeah.
I was talking to my roommate's friends right before coming here today in preparation of talking about social media, and my roommate's friend, stayed over last night coming from India, after like a 15-hour flight coming to New Jersey. He only was able to stay over because he found out that my roommate Piyush is now living in Jersey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have thought he's up in upstate New York where he used to be, or in NYU rather, where he used to be, and wouldn't be available to like connect or anything. So they only connected today because of seeing what he's posting on social media and being able to message him saying, "Hey, I see that you're in town. Would you want to do something when I fly in, because I'm arriving at this time on this day?"
Yeah.
And now they're hanging out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That reminds me too, it's a little related because like with the bridging the gaps thing, like I feel like we've had conversations about this, but like having things like GroupMe like in high school, and like our friend group kind of like survived because of like things like that. Because like too. I think especially GroupMe, which if people don't know, it's just like another like group messaging app, very similar to like WhatsApp or something. At the time, like most of our friend group, like when it was like us four, like most of them weren't on any social media, and we weren't like connecting on that social media. Like we knew each other in person, so we weren't messaging on Facebook, but our like group would always interact in the group chat we had on GroupMe. And like going into college, not all of us going to different schools, like that's like the thing that kept us talking.
Which
is crazy.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I remember at this time, shout out Augustine. He was the one who he introduced GroupMe to us.
Friend of the show, maybe?
Friend of the show, maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe. I love him. I would love for him to come on.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, please hit us up. Our email shouldtalkmore@gmail.com. He introduced GroupMe to all of us. And this time, with our impression of Augustine, we were like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
We were not interested.
Yeah. He was always like, it's funny when I think about it because he was always someone who would like, people would think what he was saying was weird, but there were some things that he would mention that like he was ahead of the game for a lot of stuff. Something we didn't talk about was Yik Yak, like the app that it just came back.
Did he bring up Yik Yak?
He was mentioning Yik Yak to us in high school, senior year of high school. It only became really famous like freshman year of college, but like he was on it like right like before it became popular. He's something about that kid.
He's always thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
So he introduced GroupMe, and then I remember reflecting back on it saying, hey guys, I know you guys might not like the thought of this, but if it wasn't for Augustine, we might not be friends right now.
Yeah, I do remember you mentioning that, which is honestly true, because I was kind of thinking about how if we didn't have that, like there would really be no way for us to all like stay friends. Like I don't know how we would have stayed friends throughout like at least like the first year of college, because like
we weren't hanging out that much.
Yeah.
If we weren't hanging out that much, then you become less and less relevant in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Especially if we're far apart. So yeah, that
was tough.
That was definitely true. Where were we? Oh, so bridging the gap.
Yeah.
That's ways that Facebook definitely did that. And any other connections you might be able to resurface by seeing Facebook. I know my mom actually, she has like a half brother, and I don't remember.
I think you might have mentioned it. Yeah.
She has a half brother, or a few half siblings actually, and never has she ever met them. And she did a little bit of digging and surfaced up those relationships, and she actually
Facebook,
and she actually messaged them, and then she met them in person.
Yeah.
Now this can go in this situation it went really well, but in other situations it might bring up old sensitive spots or sensitive areas that you might not want to resurface. So it could definitely be a negative too in this situation. Like, hey, I pull up my husband's ex-wife, and now I'm talking to her, and found out that my husband was doing so and so, and that now makes you in a questionable position. Do I want to stay in this marriage? Yeah. So, it's a double-edged sword. It could go either way.
Yeah, and I think it is really cool. Like I think more now than ever, you're able to like maintain relationships, like or maintain or like discover or like re-meet somebody, basically like someone that you used to know. You can like interact with them again. Like I think a lot about how my dad talks about his relationship with my mom, because like they were dating when she was a senior in high school, and he would be like, they would hang out like one day, and then he wouldn't see her for a week, and then see her again, and like by not see her for a week, like wouldn't like talk to her, wouldn't like anything, and then they would just hang out like the next Saturday or whatever. And it's like stuff that feels so weird now, because it's like I think now, because, and this ties into like having phones too, and like instant messaging and everything, but like now more than ever there's like almost an expectation where you have to speak to somebody every day, especially maybe not so much for friendships. I mean, we've probably, actually, I might speak to you every day, but you do have friends. You could be best friends with someone and not talk to them every single day.
That's very true.
And it's not that bad, but like for relationships, there's almost, because you can, it's like almost the expectation that you have to, which isn't like that great, but it's like a different aspect, I guess, to relationships. On that, like I wrote some stuff for how it made it worse. Was there anything you wanted to add for like the benefits?
I'm not sure if you were going to jump into this, but just along the lines of what you were just saying about a negative is now you're setting certain expectations in a relationship. And those expectations might be Facebook has a dating status or relationship status icon or what have you on your Facebook profile. In a relationship now, you would be expected, especially when like Facebook was popping, if you didn't update your relationship status, your significant other could be very, very, very upset.
Yeah.
So you'd have certain expectations, and then it goes right back to single. that could change a lot of people's expectations about or perception about you, and the expectation of making it that you're single in any situation, coming out of a relationship that might like be a little upsetting to some people. So
I find it interesting. I was never like, I never got to, I guess I missed the boat for that. Cause like I was never, I didn't date anyone while I was using Facebook. So like, I always wondered how like the awkwardness maybe of like, oh, we just got together. How soon should I
it was almost always immediate.
And like, we just broke up then. How soon should I like update the thing? Like I just, it's such a, there's a weird dynamic at play, I think.
At my age, when I was using it, it was almost always immediate.
Immediately.
So like
That's
as soon as we officialized it in any way we did, just say, hi, do you want to be my girlfriend? And she says, yes. Okay. Update my status. She'll go ahead and update her status. And that was what made it official at this time. So it's not like the natural or organic stuff that makes the relationships official at this time for me at my age and my naive thought of dating. It was simply that relationship status.
Yeah.
And then once you go back to single, the wave comes right back. You're back on the market. That's what you're waiting for. As soon as you are off that relationship and you're not upset or like very distraught about the breakup, putting that back to single, you're waiting for that to pop up on some people's profiles.
Yeah, and then they'll like message you or whatever. Like, I find that funny.
That's a easy way if you're in the dating market at the time for people to start talking.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to touch on like, I just had some thoughts for like how it made it worse. The thing that I kind of wanted to pick your brain about, maybe like I wanted to see what you think about, is I feel like a lot of the younger people I know now, there's like, they have friend groups, but it's like, these are my online friends. Like these are friends that like I met on Xbox Live, or like we're friends on like Twitter or whatever, but we're not actually like, I don't know this person in person. And I feel like that's a more common thing now, where like, even some of our friends now, like Josh Sloves, who uses Discord, he has a lot of friends that live in different states, but they're just friends on Discord. So like Discord is like what connected them. Even Alex Aranio, he made some connections like from Discord. So like, what are your like thoughts on that? Is that like I mean, I think it's cool, but I think maybe like not having, let's say, people who only have friend groups that are online, do you think that's like a bad thing if they're not like I don't know.
No, I'm ready. It's it's something that's been a lot more normalized in the past couple of years. It used to be a huge stigma.
Exactly.
And during that period that it was a stigma, I definitely talked to people online that I didn't know in person. And that was just always a like vanity metric for me at that time, to be able to talk to more people. But that's not something I would be very open about to anyone else, because I was always embarrassed of the judgment I might get. Yeah,
I remember that too. Like there was like an unspoken like thing where it was just kind of weird if you like one of your close friends was just someone that you met like on AOL or whatever. Like it's just like, it's weird.
I remember one of the first people I considered my girlfriend back in 6th, 7th grade was somebody. Not somebody I never met in person, but this was one of the girls that one of my friends was dating two at once, and then they both moved out.
Yeah.
They both moved out of town, and then I started talking to both of them too. And I actually officially dated, with quotes, one of the girls.
Yeah.
And we would talk on the phone all the time, and it was long distance now. So if I was to talk to anyone about being in a relationship without having that same person in the same school, it's like, did you meet this person online? How did this relationship come to be?
Yeah.
No. I would be very defensive right away to make sure that they understand that this wasn't an online relationship. This was someone that I met in person that is now long distance. Because it just seemed weird.
Yeah.
But now, look at dating now. You're meeting people straight from online that you've never met before, complete strangers, and then you go on dates.
And I do think even now, the stigma is even less for that too. Like there's a lot of people now, it's like we met on like Bumble or like Tinder or whatever, and you just say it and people are like, oh, that's cool. Because it's like, it's a lot more normalized. But I feel like, let's say like 5 years ago or something, even less, like you would say that and there would be a little like weirdness.
Eeriness in the room, because it's the thought that these dating apps are only for hooking up.
Yeah. I think too, like, I remember there was always like a thought of like, maybe it was just from my parents, but it was like, how do you know that this is actually like who they say they are? Like, it's just someone you're meeting online. Because I think there is like, maybe for the older generations too, like a little bit of more like like not trusting of meeting people online, or like, I don't know, like a little resistance to it.
I think it's been improving over time because there's more and more technology to help like make sure that the people online are who they say they
it's
are.
definitely gotten better.
A lot better than what it used to be. But that's not to say there's still not catfishes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of catfishes, and even if somebody is the person who they say they are online, they can still like manipulate photos in a way that makes them look better than they are. So you can meet somebody and find out, oh yeah, she's far less attractive than I expected walking into this.
Have you ever interacted with a catfish?
Maybe.
Ever been catfished?
Not obviously, no. Or not where it became apparent is what I mean. I've to the extent where like I talked to somebody and then see them in person and they were complete polar opposite of what I expected. I haven't had that. I have had situations where they looked prettier on their profile. I went on a date and they were less pretty.
Yeah.
And I'll just continue the date and then just not interact afterwards. But I haven't had the experience where the person posed as a beautiful woman, but it was just a man behind the computer looking to get a few laughs out of the situation. I probably had conversations online with people like that, but nothing
Never,
that
like,
ever
you
like
actually
advanced
met them.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You kind of brought something up that kind of like interested me as another like bad part of social media, which I didn't write down, but I think like the perception of who you put yourself on like social media.
Oh yeah.
Like we didn't really I think it's definitely it's something that is more, I think I feel bad for women, honestly, because of a lot of the like influencers now that are on social media where they're portraying a very like selected image of who they are that might not be how they actually look in person. And then you see that, and those are the most popular people on social media. They're the ones that the guys are like following, thinking they're hot and stuff. And then you have girls too, either trying to like use those filters or like use those angles and like portray themselves in a certain way on their pages where it's not like who they actually are in person. So like I do feel like that has been a really bad thing. I think even for guys too, there's like a thing where like you don't want to post like a photo where maybe you look a little chubby or like it's not the best angle. Like you want everything is very like selected, and you end up maybe looking at your page and it's like this is a very like put together version of who I am. It's not really who you are.
Definitely. I mean, we're talking about it, but your social media grid, your Tumblr grid, is all to be the best image of yourself.
Yeah, it's very selected.
So the goal is always to make that better and better. Yeah. So once people go onto your page, it draws people in.
Yeah.
Now, I don't say there's anything bad about having that as your goal, because if you're doing it for like a business side of things and you're doing it with spreading good information, and who's to decide what's good, but what aligns with your values, and that's a noble thing to do in a sense. But with that said, it could be toxic, like you're saying, or harmful to other people, where if this is all they're seeing on their feed, you were upset that your sister was on Twitter following only public accounts or public figure accounts, and now you're like, well, you know what? I'm gonna solve this by being a troll and showing her that there's other people out there online that disagree with this. You wanted to make that you wanted to make that a little bit more clear. So you probably didn't say it, but that was part of your goal there.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
you don't have to tell me. So that's to make it now to say she was getting into this space where she's seeing public figures, and that might be inspiration, or it might be a way that starts shaping who she is in many ways, just unconsciously though. Now I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything specific to your sister. It happened to many of us.
Yeah, or like anyone who's just following people like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think like do you think it's had like a negative effect on like people's perceptions of themselves? Like
definitely.
Yeah. I think that's like a huge issue now. And I think it's tough because it's like obviously you don't want to post like the worst version of yourself, but like I think the fact that people aren't being genuine, it's like strange, I guess, like on social media, because you see like everything people post, it's always like, and I think we spoke about this before, where it's like it's always when you're doing something that's fun or exciting, like you're not gonna post like you just hanging out, like sitting alone at home, or like anything that's not exciting. Like you want stuff that people will like, or like stuff where you look attractive. So it's weird. I feel bad for maybe like younger kids maybe who are like being born into it, but
well, I mean, I like we said, there are benefits to it.
Yeah.
There are drawbacks, and many of these drawbacks are that like addiction factor.
yeah,
Where you start shaping your own life to fit what the model is to be from what you're being fed information as. Now, that's also what Instagram and other social medias are fighting against too, just because they're trying to maintain their, I mean, they have company goals at the end.
Yeah.
Their goals or business goals has been to get people on their platforms as long as possible.
Keep them on there.
But you do see them taking steps back from that too. You see that now on Instagram, if you scroll to the bottom of your feed, it says you are all caught up. You have the option now to put a timer to remind you, hey, you've been on Instagram today for 10 minutes already.
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, that's cool.
You can set timers on apps now.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
I forget if that's inbuilt into Instagram or if that's just part of iOS. Okay. I think you can do it for any iOS app, but it might be something specific that Instagram has implemented too.
Yeah.
So with that, there are like steps that social media has taken just to make sure people are living healthier and happier lives.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me too of like dating apps too, like kind of making adjustments. So like they're not like, they don't want people just posting photos of them in bikinis or like shirtless photos. Like they want people to like maybe not just posting those like artificial, like overly sexualized versions of themselves. Like just post something like genuine and be intentional. Yeah, you see Hinge his mission is to get you off the app. Tinder is quite the opposite. They're okay with you staying on their app as long as possible. They give you a pretty high limit as to how many likes you get in a day. You get I almost never reach it. But yeah. So you have two sides of the coin. Some apps are trying to measure back and get you off the app a little bit more. While it hurts their bottom line, they do it for the image to say like, hey, look, we do live by these values. While others are more just, let's keep you on as long as possible, and we're going to keep implementing change that will get you on. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing with that too is like I've noticed a little more of a switch too with like what brands are showing as like the influencers or whoever they're choosing. Like you're seeing a lot more like them choosing like minorities or like people who are a little overweight. Like it's less of like I think you can see kind of an active push maybe to like change where like it's not just showing these like very like Hollywood looking, like super skinny, super muscular, like
that's
people.
True. There's definitely a fight against what idolism has come out of social media. So, or just the negatives or the drawbacks that have come out of social media. There's been a fight against it. So you can still see the benefits continuing to grow, but drawbacks will continue to exist.
Before we move off this, I just like realized it. The one thing I forgot to mention for like a huge benefit of social media is also just like for organization, for getting people together, like getting communities together. I remember I was a political science major. When we were learning about the Arab Spring, like it was highly organized using Twitter. And like even when you see a lot of like more recently like the Black Lives Matter movements and protests, like all mostly like social media, like Twitter, Instagram, like getting people together, letting them know what's going on, and like using that platform to actually like get people out and like doing stuff, which is like super cool. It's like stuff that could have never really like happened like without it.
So definitely. Now, while we're on this topic, that also is a double-edged sword.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's now could easily become spreading misinformation. Where or not even spreading misinformation, but spreading a organization that might have ill intent to create havoc.
Yeah, and
we saw with the storm of the Capitol building.
Exactly.
That was very much motivated by social media.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it is a double-edged sword, because when you're allowing people to organize, like giving them a platform to organize with like-minded people, there are going to be bad people who group together as well. So it's like, I guess I feel like it's so crazy, because there's so much of this that we can talk about, and I know we prepared so much, and I'm like, we could do like another episode on this, but like even what we're seeing a lot now on Twitter with like banning Trump and like banning a lot of right-wing like extremists. It's like an interesting thing that's going on now, I think, because you're seeing social media, some platforms taking a stand and being like, there's a lot of negative like stuff that's happening, and people are organizing using our platform. We're not going to let them do it anymore. I find it interesting because I'm curious as to what's going to be the cost of that. And I think I've told you this before. It's a thing I like to think about, or I think about. It's like pushing people off of a platform, like deplatforming people, I don't think is a good idea. Like, let's say you're getting all these angry right-wing extremists, pushing them off of you're pushing them off of Twitter, but they're going to find something else. And like excluding people from society, I think is not the solution to the problem per se, because I think there was like a kind of like Twitter-esque app that came out that like a lot of right-wing people went to after like Trump was banned, and it's not really getting rid of the problem. It's just putting them somewhere else. Which is like not great.
Now, do you have an alternative solution?
I mean, so I guess we spoke about this before the podcast. Like a big thing that is happening with social media that I did my thesis paper on fake news on cable news, but I spoke a little bit about how on Facebook you have these like ecosystems of ideas that are created. So like you get put into a bubble with like-minded people, and you're only shown posts that Facebook thinks you'll like. So if you're right-winged, you'll see right-wing like posts, recommended friends that are right-wingers or whatever. If you're liberal too, same thing. You'll get put in like a liberal bubble. And I think that's the bad thing about algorithms, maybe. Like their benefits are to, like you mentioned before, like any of these apps, they want to keep you on the app. They want to like keep you as long as possible. But forcing people to only see one thing, I think, is what the issue is. Like to get all these like conspiracy theorists, like crazy people to storm the Capitol, it's because like they weren't really shown anything else, or like or even if they were, they have just been so ingrained in whatever like content that they've been consuming, be it on Facebook, be it on Twitter, that you're not really getting another perspective.
So I guess what you're getting at here is if you can widen that up a little bit more so you can get more perspective, then how do you also do that at the same time where people still like going on your app? That's
the thing. And I feel like that's the thing that maybe is going to be so hard for like an app to kind of change, because like, and you understand it too, because like, why is Facebook gonna want to show people posts that they disagree with, like,
or dislike?
Because like they're not going to do that. Why would they? But like the fact that they won't do that, it's not like you're gonna have so many people who are just like only getting the content that they like and only seeing like the fake information or a certain like skewed information, that they're never going to see anything else.
And if you are feeding them information that disagrees with what they like, that also could be now seen as, oh, well, why are you giving me this? You're trying to manipulate my thoughts.
Exactly. And that's like the thing I think you see with on even like Instagram, where they're showing like posts where they put like the COVID like thing, or like there's some posts that they'll say like this is misinformation, where it's like I don't know if that's really gonna solve, like the person, let's say us, if we see that, and if it's something that we disagree with, we'll be like, okay, that's good, like it's misinformation, let them get rid of it. But if it's someone who actually believes in that misinformation, them seeing Instagram flagging that, like what are they thinking?
See the thing now though, that what Instagram is doing with the COVID is anywhere that COVID is mentioned is on it. So it's in a sense fair that it's not saying that anything's misinformation. Like I had a post the other day about getting fired, and I said this year a lot of things happen, it wasn't due to COVID. It wasn't due to so-and-so. It wasn't due to that. But because I said the word COVID, I got the flag. It was completely unrelated.
I think I was thinking, was it Twitter? That there was some app.
Fact check.
Yeah.
It would
like
be
the
a fact
check thing that said like this isn't true or
whatever. And that created a lot of conversations too. Where when Trump got fact checked.
And like and after that, like almost every time he tweeted, there was like a fact check. Yeah.
But and there was so much disagreement with that, with Twitter saying, well, who are you to say that his information should be fact checked, that this, you can't be the judgment of truth.
Yeah.
Facebook did come out saying something against what Twitter did with that, with fact checking people, saying that we wouldn't go ahead and say that we're the arbiter of truth. Where we're going to let people put content out there, but we will try to maintain a space that's safe for everyone.
Yeah. And I guess it's such an interesting dilemma because I don't know, even you asking, like, I don't know, like what would you say? Like it's hard to even find a solution.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're definitely getting at it, and I don't have a solution myself, but you're definitely getting at it with creating a space where people can still have open conversations, yet not letting it advance to a point where it would create harm in any way. Now, at what point is that conversation getting to that level? It's hard to really say, and it's hard to really detect that in a space that you're not going to have people push back.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you remove information, and we see this on Reddit, we didn't talk about Reddit yet, but so many subreddits have gotten banned recently because of potential harm it might create, or not safe space that they're looking to promote now. But Reddit used to be a platform where any conversations go. Yeah. Any subreddit can exist as long as it doesn't violate the law. And that became more and more controversial on Reddit until they up until a point where they were like, okay, fine, we will have to ban some subreddits because we don't want to be known as the company that is creating these terrorist attacks or anything that might have a bad image on them. And as soon as they remove that, they get so much pushback saying, now you're going against what you originally stood for.
Yeah. And I feel like it's such a hard thing for the companies themselves, because like you mentioned, they don't want to be associated like with some mass shooter that like got his like influence from a certain subreddit. Like I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't want to be like viewed as the reason this happened either. But then the people on it are getting upset because they're going against like their original values. But it's like I think either thing that they do is like bad. And it kind of reminds me of like the COVID situation where like instituting mask mandate or like taking it out, like either way you're gonna make like a group of people upset. Mad. There is no easy solution or a solution that will make everybody happy.
And so I guess that's the important point here. I guess whether or not everyone's going to be happy with the solution, a solution has to be picked, and you go forward with that. You continue to be open to ideas to see what can come in that we can try to improve this, and you can test it out and see if it helps improve, like making a space where everyone's happy using your platform while not excluding anyone. But at the end of the day, I think, like you said, it's just impossible. It's just impossible. It can't be done to an extent. I guess another thing too, since we already jumped into privacy, and I know that was like on the bottom of this list, I figured we'll just close the topic here. Another interesting one that just happened recently is that, not recently, with COVID, and I like this one. My one of the friends at the apartment today was mentioning this, is that coronavirus, at the start of it, you would get people posting that, oh, go to this place at this location for open beds and like free testing. And that would be true maybe when they posted that, or maybe it was just rumored somewhere that there's this information, and then it's easily reshared across social media, and now it creates an issue for that location. And so it has such a reverse effect in many situations where you're overwhelming, you're accidentally creating more bad than good with something that might come across as good intent. I know another one that I'm seeing Not to call anyone out, but I saw this shared by one of our friends, and I was thinking about it. This could easily be misleading information where it was with this issue going on in Afghanistan that it was posted. Here's contact information if you want to be able to, if you are in Afghanistan right now and you're looking for a way out, I know somebody to be able to help you out.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen a couple people post things like that, but yeah, I think I know where you're.
Exactly, and so that might just be introducing false hope.
Yeah.
Where okay, I can email this email, and I'm saved.
Yeah.
While it might seem very simple and harmless, a lot of people will put like all their eggs into one basket easily. I know I've been with people where they say, okay, somebody reached out to me for a job opportunity. I'm going to focus all my time on that. And then that never comes to anything.
Yeah.
And where are they now? They're only less happier than they were before. Yeah. So it's like, I see this email. This is my savior. I'm going to reach out and hopefully get something out of this. Yeah. And then nothing ever happens. Yeah. You have been misled. Yeah. And while you shouldn't have banked on that opportunity, it also inadvertently it could create more harm.
I think even in the thing that you mentioned with like overwhelming, like let's say if there is that person who you can contact them now, sharing it on social media, having so many more people seeing it, you could actually have way too many people reach out where this person won't be able to help all of them. Maybe even have like trolls like reach out just to like, because you're putting out an email. People will like send
reach
bullshit,
out saying whatever.
And then also the Taliban could just like, you're posting this publicly, like not saying that the Taliban is looking at our friends like account, but like anyone sharing stuff like that, governments can see what is being posted, so they can like see, this one person is helping people get out of here. Let's like find out who they are and kill them or something. Not to be super extreme, but like in a lot worse countries that stuff happens, and like it's scary almost. Like
it certainly is, and like it's so easy to reshare this stuff, but I think we should think twice before we do to think like, is this really going to solve the problem? Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to talk about that too. There's another one where, this is more on the business end. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about with privacy?
Well, I can like, maybe for the misinformation, like just a little bit more about like the 2016 election. Cause I know that happened a lot. Like the thing I mentioned with like, social bubbles, that was like,
that's right.
That was like a huge thing that was happening in the 2016 election. I mean, I didn't do research for the 2020 election, but I'm sure it was actually,
it wasn't as big.
I would say probably like a little extended too, though, because like if you think about like the issues in the 2020 election, like COVID being a huge thing, I guess the whole idea of these like social bubbles is like on Facebook, like they'll only show you what you like, and like you end up in a community of like-minded people. So the idea of COVID being a hoax is like being reinforced in this like little community in Facebook. Chamber, and they end up in an echo chamber where like it's very easy to just only see that stuff, and that's all you are seeing.
Live by,
and then that happened a lot in like the 2016 election where there was a ton of fake news being spread,
distributed,
and you had all these people in like Trump's camp only consuming like news that was beneficial of him. And then same thing for those who were liberal, like people who were in support of Hillary Clinton or even like Bernie Sanders. There are like liberal echo chambers. I think even like us being a little more liberal leaning, like the people that we follow are mostly like liberals or like posting stuff that is in support of like the left. So like I sometimes feel like I am in like kind of an echo chamber as well. So I just feel like we don't need to dive in it too much, but it is like a thing that is a problem currently that I don't know how it'll be resolved. And like we touched on some of the things that like with flagging things as being misinformation or like deplatforming people, but like it's not really getting to the root.
When is it too much? When is it too much?
And I guess just to close on all of that, like I think a lot about how I feel like the solution to any of this maybe is just to find a way for people to actually like communicate like on a safe platform where like we can disagree like completely in terms of ideology, but like somehow try to understand each other, where it's not like you know, getting upset or like personally attacking you. Like,
now
I don't know.
the one issue with that is it requires effort from somebody.
Yeah.
And social media is a very effortless task. And that's how it works. That's how it functions. To be as effortless as possible, where you will want to stay on the app. If something requires your mental energy to continue scrolling, then why would you stay? I'm on Hinge a lot less than I am on Tinder because it makes it a little harder for me to swipe.
That's true, yeah, because you actually have to like spend the energy like looking at someone's profile and like, thinking of something to say. Yeah,
I mean, and while that sounds so bad, it's true.
Yeah,
it happens to the best of us. Not saying that I'm the best, but I'm the best. So anyway,
we didn't. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on? Because I just realized we didn't really talk about TikTok, which might be a good one to end on, maybe, since that's like a more recent.
I do get into it a little bit with the business side of social media.
Okay,
so we can speed through some of this. But something that I thought was really interesting to talk about is some of the key features that made social media big. So I'll end on with that conversation, TikTok, because they have introduced a new form of social media content that has taken social media to the next level. But like, think about earlier on, like the like button from Facebook. How was that inspired? I don't know, but a like button has definitely been across all social medias now.
Yeah.
Same thing with tagging people. You tag somebody, if you're tagged in a picture, you almost instantly want to see what you were tagged into. So that gets you onto that platform almost immediately.
Yeah.
So once social media discovers something like tagging, that brings only more people onto the platform, and all the other social medias adopt a similar type of model. Relationship status, we talked about that too. that garnered a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And it definitely garnered mine. Photo sharing, Facebook was probably one of the first to do it successfully, and then now we see it on Instagram, and Instagram has taken off just for its photo sharing content. Now we're seeing that transform a little bit with Instagram saying that we're looking to move towards a video sharing, short form video sharing content platform.
With Reels.
With Reels.
Very exciting. And the IGTV,
they are looking to advance their video content and make that more of their niche than photo sharing. But photo sharing isn't going away. Yeah. Is what they're saying. You see YouTube. YouTube was huge for video sharing content.
YouTube also came out with their own like short form video shorts. Yeah.
Shorts.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Every platform saw that it could be successful. Yeah. And so you start seeing it across all platforms.
It is interesting. Like they're adopting a lot of the things that other platforms are doing. Like I know you also have here like stories, like YouTube also has stories now.
YouTube has stories. LinkedIn, out of all social media, has stories. Yeah. Twitter had stories for a while, but they have since removed it. Yeah. It just spreads all over. For a good 2 weeks, there was like a 2-week span where out of nowhere, all these social medias just came out with stories. Yeah. I think Twitter and LinkedIn had like back to back. Then one that I find really cool is the swipe mechanics. All these apps now, and not even apps, just mobile devices are very reliant on swipe mechanics to make it easier for you to put less effort into like navigating their app. Yeah. You see it on Tinder, as I think Tinder was like the first to introduce this, where instead of having to physically tap a button to say, okay, I like this person, if you just swipe, it's so effortless. Yeah. Now we see it on Instagram, just to scroll through a page. No, that's not relatable. TikTok. You see it on TikTok just to get to the next video content. And how simple it is to continue to advance to the next form of content. On YouTube, it wasn't that simple. You'd have to physically click or look for a new video to watch. With something like TikTok, you just have to swipe. So
what I find interesting about TikTok too is that it doesn't play the next video. Like to go through content, you actually have to swipe for everything, which I think a lot of people don't really like, because like
Yeah.
Vine used to be like if you left a video on, it would go to the next, go to the next.
Interesting.
I think is Reels like that too? Does like when you finish a video, does it just autoplay another one?
I was thinking it might do it like twice and then go on to the next, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't really use it as much to know, but continue.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I find that really cool. And we talked about TikTok's like vertical short form content. It's so simple, but so different. I mean, so stupid to think that making a video content that is vertical can take over social media.
Well, I find it so fascinating, like TikTok especially. I think I was talking about this with those girls that we met in New York, where there was one girl who was like interested in film.
Yeah, but wasn't interested in TikTok.
No, because like TikTok, like I've found creators on TikTok who will make like a freaking short film on TikTok, like vertical, like, and it's like beautiful. Like they can, now TikTok has expanded to like 3-minute content, so there's even more room. But like back when it was a minute, I've seen like minute short films on TikTok that would make you cry. And it's just like,
you have to really, it's a test of your creativity.
Honestly. And it's almost interesting how the limit of only being vertical, like it opens up more doors to doing like other things, or like you think of different options. I think even like TikTok, editing on TikTok is different than like editing on other editing platforms. Like you have to figure out like different like tricks or whatever. I just to touch on, like, to end on that, I think I'm interested in what the future will be like, because having done like film classes where they're like, a film must be this way. And now it's like not, like it can be anything. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess with that, with these new forms of content coming out, to be able to bounce off to the next point here, it brings more users in, and more users has been able to find a place for businesses to grow, which is what I've been finding very fascinating. How can you leverage these short form content or whatever's trending to grow a business? And that's the space that like social media has since found themselves. They're more and more towards helping out now businesses as well as just users to be on their platform to find a place that they can make revenue, to make money. Because you can post, you can advertise on social media, and if you have a large enough following, advertisements could be placed on your content where you are now being paid. You get money at the end of the day. There's Instagram users that get paychecks. There's Facebook, Facebook is Instagram. YouTube users that are getting paychecks just by however many listeners or followers or likes and comments and impressions they get on their content. OnlyFans, as much as it might seem very superficial, there's users that get $4 million in a single day when they launch their OnlyFans.
That's a very topical one to mention too, because they just recently announced that they're like banning sexual content, or like overly sexual content. So I think they said like nudity is allowed, but I think anything
like actually having sex.
Yeah, I think they're gonna start getting rid of
that. I saw that started to pop up. I didn't research into it anymore. I wasn't sure how true it was or not. That's what it is.
Yeah, so like in the official announcement, it's they just want to get rid of like explicit like sexual content. So I think just like porn, basically. Like if you're posting your boobs or whatever, you're fine.
Yeah, well,
so go for it.
So I see social media taking advantage of businesses, not taking advantage of them, but businesses taking advantage of social media in two ways. Either through advertisements to be able to get money through like their own growth on social media, or paid content, which goes hand in hand, but that's two sources of income that you can have. If you create paid content like on OnlyFans or online courses, or having a premium service where only my top fans who are willing to pay can get access to this content, that's one source of income there. And that could be like a monthly subscription fee. Then you also have another source of income by having a large enough following that people are just on your content, that advertisements are paying. The paychecks that the companies are getting for the advertisements are now being distributed off to you based on your number of followers.
It's interesting how OnlyFans, like, Do you think? Because I think like what people are saying is like they made that shift because of they also are looking for investors or
Okay.
like for people that want to like put ads or whatever. Like
Mhm.
they want to be more safe in that sense. But I feel like they have already created sort of a like an idea. When you say that you're on OnlyFans, like you kind of expect
It's your
like
image.
it'll be like a sexual thing or like something that you're posting on there
Oh,
for.
Doesn't
I don't know.
OnlyFans have like a lock on their brand like logo?
Yeah, they do.
It gives it this premise of it being very secretive,
Yeah.
and you don't want
never really
to
thought about
share
that. Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean the whole brand in
Yeah,
itself
yeah, you're
is leading to the idea that it's for explicit content.
Yeah.
While like it could have other form of content. We all know, and everyone who's sharing their OnlyFans, it immediately gives the idea, like you said, that is explicit.
Yeah.
So that is the brand
Yeah.
of OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And they have worked with that brand and they
Yeah.
have promoted that
Yeah.
brand. So now I am very interested
Yeah.
to see what comes out of OnlyFans
Yeah.
now with these new changes, if it's going to continue to be known as the explicit content, paid content.
Because we should go on
platform.
OnlyFans.
Like me and you.
Well, no, I mean like the podcast, and like we'll post like episodes early or like something else.
Yeah, that sounds
No,
cool.
but I mean it is like there's a model that I used to follow. She was like a YouTuber and she did modeling,
Mhm.
and then she like did a funny video saying, "Oh, I'm on OnlyFans," but really she was just posting her modeling photos, which weren't explicit early.
Yeah.
So it's just like
This
similar to something like Patreon, where it's like you're
Yeah.
using it for actually like your only true fans can like get this like exclusive content first or whatever. But it's like I get that use case, but like we mentioned, the idea of OnlyFans is so like ingrained as being something
Yeah.
like dirty that it's like I don't know.
it's just
They
part
probably
of
just
the
want
brand
to.
of it.
I think they
yeah.
want to clean up their image maybe and like have a different
They-
brand
they might.
identity.
They might be switching altogether.
Yeah,
Or
which is
it
crazy.
might be what my one of my roommate's friends were saying today, second degree marketing,
Which is
what Coca-Cola did. Potentially
with New
did
Coke.
with New Coke.
Oh my god.
So, if you're not familiar with New Coke, back in like the 80s, I think it was, a new like executive that was making lead decisions for Coca-Cola was that, oh, let's take old Coke original Coke off the market and replace it with a new Coke that is more flavorful. They did all the market testing, and it came out that this new formula, this new recipe that they came up with, wins in flavor testing or
Yeah.
quality tests. 9 times out of 10, or whatever the statistics were, showed that new Coke was better. In fact, better.
Mhm.
And in fact, better than Pepsi. So the whole goal here was to get a larger market share of the refresh drink soda industry. By having a better quality drink. And so they put new Coke onto the shelf and
People absolutely hated it.
completely removed original Coke. Now, it's not that they absolutely hated it. They would actually own up. So there are people who would actually own up. Yeah, this is better than old Coke, but we want our Coca-Cola back. It was that level of loyalty that came out to the surface
Yeah.
that revealed that, well, old Coke or original Coke has this value.
But you said they removed the original Coke off the shelves completely before.
So no. As they've removed it as new Coke came out.
Okay.
So as soon as new Coke was ready to launch, they completely removed old Coke
Yeah.
or original Coke, and it was just new Coke.
Yeah.
Then with all the upset customers that came
Yeah.
from this, they were getting calls all throughout the day saying, "Why did you get rid of our Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
I'm never buying from you again." They faced a lot of pressure, and they put original Coke back onto the shelf and slowly removed new Coke.
Yeah.
Now, some
So there's an
people
idea
say
that was like just a market like trick in a way, just to
Yeah.
like get people to re-engage with original Coke, I guess.
yeah. So a lot of people say that was
Yeah.
the goal from the start.
Yeah.
That was the goal from the start.
Yeah.
We want people to want old Coke or
Yeah.
original Coke more than ever.
Yeah.
Let's just whet their appetite by removing it for a while,
Yeah.
and now they're craving it. as soon as you bring it back, it gives this impression, oh, I actually listened to the customers.
Yeah.
They wanted old Coke. We're bringing old
Yeah.
Coke.
That's really interesting.
So it's, I forget how this topic came up, but second level marketing too
Yeah.
is like a huge thing that you'll see that like social media might do. And you can go ahead and tell us why.
Tell you why?
How?
I don't know. You're the one that wrote this down.
Oh, I didn't write second level marketing here. Second degree marketing.
I didn't write that.
I didn't write it.
All right, then I guess we won't talk about it anymore.
I think we were talking about OnlyFans and potentially how
what they're doing
OnlyFans
with
might
like
be
moving,
might be a way for them to now say
What if they now announce like OnlyFans Premium or something, a secondary
that might
app
be what it is.
that
So there's
only
going
has explicit sexual
We
content?
see right now, and you're hearing it here first. We see right now that OnlyFans is upsetting a lot of customers by getting rid of all the great sex that they can pay to watch. And all these angry customers, they'll respond to with a new premium app, separate from the safer app where you can pay for premium content, but a brand that is a little more tasteful, as one might say.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's interesting.
that might be their goal after all. They're just doing second degree marketing
it would be better because I think a lot of the backlash too is like them doing that is kind of like biting the hand that feeds them, because it's like this is a big part of who's on OnlyFans. So like to make a move like that is kind of like strange, I guess, or not strange, but it's like a big like shift. So like for it to be something more, it would maybe make a little more sense. I don't know.
We'll see what comes out of this. That's why I am very interested to see what are they actually doing here? What are their plans? Why do they make these decisions?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it in a few weeks down the line
we'll
when it actually happens. Yeah, once we get more information.
All right.
But on that note, I have big plans.
Me too, guys. Today's my quinceañera. I've always wanted to have a quinceañera, and I'm having one today.
Yeah, and I'm very excited.
You're my guest of honor.
Yeah, I'm in his court.
I hope you prepared a speech. So there will be like a lot of speeches done for me today, karaoke and stand-up routines. It's gonna be a big day. But we have a lot to prepare.
And we also have like 2 to 4 different tropical storms coming in the area, so it's going to be a very interesting one.
It is. So this was lovely. This was honestly the most engaged I felt in a topic. Like, I don't know, like it felt really interesting. Like I feel like there's a lot to be like.
See, while we talk about not having much in common, I think this is one that we do share a lot of interest in.
I think that was probably it, because I think sometimes we've definitely spoken about some of this stuff before. I feel like you talk about dating and social media the most, maybe.
Yeah. Soon our tagline is going to be stale.
Yeah.
We are becoming more and more like each other.
Well, what happens once we learn everything?
Second level marketing, baby. Second degree marketing.
Well, we shouldn't talk more.
Well, stay around and find out.
Yeah, for new should talk more. It might drop.
New should talk more. I like that one.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening or watching. My name has been and always will be Joshua Coronel.
And my name is Josh Coronel. It was great to have you listen. You can find us on shouldtalkmore.com. All of our social media is there. You can find our streaming platforms.
Our streaming services.
Our streaming services.
Should Talk More Premium, Should Talk More Plus, and
we just launched our OnlyFans. I'll see you there.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys.